right. It's a new moon, and I think in Libra, either tomorrow, there's Saturn's in Capricorn still, Pluto's right next to it, and Jupiter should be heading into Capricorn over the next couple of months, just to give you a time frame as to when this video is happening for future references. So yeah. So I'll just make a video about like some reflection type of things. Because yesterday, actually last night, I spent like an hour or so watching my old YouTube videos. Like I watched the one where I talk about Saturn. I watched the one where I talk about where it's called Absorb the Earth. I watched the one I just put out, the last one called Disconnect to Reconnect. I watched a little bit of the interviews. So I thought it was interesting to be able to see, because even my last video, to an extent, it feels like a version of me that doesn't exist anymore. But the older ones, like the ones from like 2 years ago, where it's like, what do I call it? Like sex stuff and zombies, like that stuff. Things I did around there, like the Saturn video before. I think I just put my second book out, or I was about to. A Battle of the Saturn in the 12th House. That's what it's called. I'm sipping on some. I was about to say buttermilk, but it's dandelion, some black jade, some turmeric tea today. It's beautiful. Oh yeah, the last video, I brought up how Arrow, the TV show, started me to start going upside down and doing things of that nature. But after I watched it, I realized that, damn, it kind of sparked me. If you watch some of my videos a little bit from like a year or so, maybe like a couple years ago now, I'm talking about I haven't drank alcohol in like 3 years, and it's been great. But I drink a little bit now. It's something I don't do too much. I feel like I just wanted to detach myself from the wanting to do it a lot, and just the being in the alcohol energy and alcohol atmosphere. Like, you doing that as a lifestyle. But now that it's something that it's more foreign to what I have built my new life around, it's not really the same type of a thing. I'll drink a beer and that's it. Like yesterday, I had a Heineken, like a 22, I think. I drank that, and then that was it. But yeah, Arrow. One of the things that sparked me to stop drinking, besides the fact that I was kind of subconsciously thinking that I was drinking too much, is that there's a couple characters on Arrow who had abuse issues. Like one of the his name is Captain Lance. He was an alcoholic for years and years and years on that show. And there's his daughter who was a pill addict. Even other people throughout the show have had drug type of mishaps or addictions. Even one of the main characters that has staying power, Diggle, has a type of a drug issue in the latter half of the shows, the seasons. This is actually the last season of Arrow, the one that's about to come out, I guess, in a few weeks, which will be the 8th season. But yeah, I used to watch it with one of my friends. Actually, he's on one of the videos. I think his name on there is just Jay. We used to watch that shit, and he took a break from drinking because the characters on that show, I guess he saw like some of the addiction within that show, reflecting how he felt deep on the inside. So he took a break from drinking because the show influenced him to. And then I was like, damn, all right, let me just that just sparked me, like, okay, let me see if I can take a break from it too, because I was, I guess, subconsciously thinking the same thing. So I did, and I went like years without doing it, to the point where I thought I would never do it again. And it's, I could not drink for the next 5 years and it wouldn't be a big deal. It's, out of all the substances that you can do, it's one of the least satisfying. For sure. Like, weed, mushrooms, and acid, that's basically where it's at. Pills are probably worse than alcohol. I see more people dying from pills. Like, when people die from alcohol, it's because they drink and drive. For the most part. When people die from pills, they overdose and shit. So, that's what I'm saying. The thing, there is one defense mechanism that does come with drinking a lot, is that if you drink a lot, you usually will puke and get a lot of that out of your system. With pills, it's different. I don't think if you take a lot of pills, it'll make you puke. I don't know. I've never really gone down the pill route. I've known people who have, but I don't know the specifics behind it. But yeah, that sparked me to take a break from drinking for a while, which was great. And the thing is about this show, Arrow, where I feel like it speaks to me, is that I was actually done watching TV. The year was 2013. I was living in DC. I was done watching TV. I wasn't gonna watch, because at this point, for people who are a little bit older, the show Breaking Bad just ended. So if you remember that time frame, Breaking Bad just ended, Dexter just ended, Weeds just ended, and Fringe, a sci-fi show, just ended. So it's just like, those are like basically my main, this is before the influx and sonic boom of all the TV shows that's out now on Netflix and Hulu and Amazon. There was a lot of shows out, yes, but compared to what they are now, no. There's just, you can just watch, the quality of shows have gotten better, and I think it's because of some of those shows there, especially like Breaking Bad and Dexter. And in a way, a lot of times when the people I know who have watched Arrow before, what they will say is that he kind of reminds them of Dexter. I know he's kind of killing bad guys, yes, but they mean like in his demeanor and the way he acts as well, like kind of, I guess, stoic in a way. But yeah, I was done watching TV, and my roommate, he showed me the movie Man of Steel, right? It was actually pretty fucking dope. And I remember I played this game called Injustice. And it's like, Injustice, okay. And one day I was just bored. I think I was just flipping through Netflix. Just flipping through shit. I think I might have been trying to watch Man of Steel again, because I didn't know that it wouldn't be on Netflix, because I wasn't really watching anything at the time. But I saw the show Arrow. And I was like, oh, is this Arrow like the Green Arrow from Injustice and from the Justice League cartoons? Like I've always fucked with the Black Canary a little bit harder. But, okay, for me back then, Arrow was kind of the Black Canary's boyfriend. But I was like, alright, I'll give this show a shot. I started watching it, and I fucked with it hard. It just kind of spoke to me in a way. I guess like the psychology of it, because how the way the show is broken down within like the first 5 seasons, is that they kind of tell the story of how he became the Green Arrow, and the story of him becoming more of a hero compared to more like a assassin. Because he goes from the show starts, it's tells the tale of 5 years of him on the island. Let's say the show is about 42 minutes long in general. They will spend like 10 to 15 minutes telling the story, maybe even less than that, on him on the island, and how he became from someone who was basically useless, to someone who was a vigilante, crossing off names on a list, trying to become a hero. So the psychology of flipping back and forth, of him being like an assassin in the city, to him on the island, just learning how to hunt, like learning how to shoot his bow for the first time, going through a real odyssey of tribulations back then. It was like, for instance, there's a video on YouTube where they cut out all the flashback scenes and they just put it together as like a kind of like a hour and 30 or hour 40-minute movie. And it's actually pretty good. I watched it one day. It's like, it's a legit kind of a movie. It's kind of strange. I wonder if they had that in mind at all when they were creating that one day this could all be clipped together in kind of like a legit, really good movie. But yeah, kind of let that show like influence me in a way, because I saw, as I going on in the latter seasons, you can see that one theme of the show is that everyone's trying to become a better person, their own personal better person, how they can try to help people in their own way. So it's because at that time I was going on my own kind of a inward journey to try to become someone else, to become something else. And that was around the time when I really started doing it. So I feel like watching the evolution of that character was very reflective of me going through my own changes at the time. And that show actually is the reason why I started going upside down. There's an episode in season 2 where he's doing handstand push-ups, and at that time I thought I was strong. So I was like, alright, I can do push-ups. So I wanted to try it, but what I realized is that it's a whole other set of muscles. It's a whole other set. No, I couldn't do one. I got down, I basically just fell over and almost knocked the TV over. I was like, damn, okay. Alright, so as I started doing upside down shit, I got to a point where I can do 30 handstand push-ups. Where I can, there's a video I have on my Instagram where I'm tying a shoe with one hand, and I'm holding myself up upside down against the wall, but not like totally slammed up against the wall. And I tie the shoe with one hand. I'm trying to like practice multitasking in a way. So all that stuff is doing, all my handstand workouts comes back from watching it on that one episode of Arrow. And beyond, even besides that, the alcohol shit, that got me to take a real break from it, derived from Arrow as well, because I got my friend to stop drinking for a little bit. And then I was like, alright, that made me, I'd stop drinking for like 2 or 3 years. The question, why did I start drinking again? Some hot chick, basically. It's like, man, it's been years. I'm just gonna drink a little bit today. That's as far as the story should go, basically. Yeah, besides the fact that she was the first person to buy my books. Like, my first book sale was to her. I've been selling a lot more recently. I'm in, I think, 8 or 9 different states now. And I'm in England, too. One's in England. I'm trying to get to Canada and China next. Why there? This seems Canada's real possible because it's so close and they speak English. But yeah, that show got me to really, I can even say maybe in a way, as I was starting to work out a lot more and be more consistent with my workouts, was if you watch that show, you can see that there's a lot of like, you can tell that the actor is really in good shape. So they'll have him like doing the workouts, like doing the salmon ladder, where if you ever watch American Ninja Warrior, it's that shit where they go, it's kind of like a pull-up. They go up to a higher rung, go up to either higher rung, go up to a higher rung, you know? So, I've never tried that before. I want to. One day I'm going to find me a salmon ladder. I'm like, yo, even if it's just me passing by real quick, like, yo, let me just try this real fast. I just want to try it. Give me 3 or 4 minutes of trying this, then I can just go on with the rest of my life. I'm going to get a bow soon. It could just be like from that show maybe, but I've always kind of been interested in archery. So that's something else that's on my upcoming things to learn how to do. An instrument is too. It's either going to be keyboard or a guitar. I'm not sure which one yet. But though it's archery, instrument, and I want to learn some Spanish or like some Chinese too. So those are my things that are on my to know and learn soon list. Let's see, anything else about that show that I find well, there's a lot of stuff with that show that I find fascinating because I don't know if I stated at the beginning of this video, is that I'm watching it over again. It's something that I like to do. I like to watch things over again to see how my perspective on it has changed. And there's a lot of real cheesy parts in Arrow, and sometimes the fight scenes are pretty bad. But sometimes the fight scenes are really good. But like some of the bad ones are like, whoa, that's crazy. That's crazy. But I'm just in it for the narrative. Might be I'm biased because I'm a writer. But there's a lot of interesting things like season 3 where they have the Lazarus pit. They start bringing people back from the dead. You got the Lazarus from the Bible, and I'm familiar with it as well. The name Lazarus from the game Mass Effect. That's how they brought back the main character after he was presumed dead. But yeah, and just to bring it back a little bit to make this random connection that you might or might not know about. Ra's al Ghul. I looked this up when I was taking a break from alcohol. What his name means. It actually means like Al Ghul actually means alcohol. So as I was taking a break from drinking, I was watching the season with Ra's al Ghul. I forget what Ra's means. I know they say in the show is like head of the demon or something like that. The demon's head. But the word actually Al Ghul derives from alcohol, which is why they call it the demon's head, because alcohol is another name for the spirits. People used to believe that if you drink, not even that they used to, see people still believe that alcohol is a sort of a portal to speak with entities in a way. So yeah, that might be something you never knew about Ra's al Ghul, that his name derives from alcohol. That's why I guess Demon's Head. He probably spit some liquor sometimes. I could see him drinking some wine in the Lazarus pit. Season 4, they had a lot of things about positive and negative energy. You know, they were talking about ley lines and things like that. I found pretty fascinating. They even, at one point, they bring up things like gematria. It's pretty fascinating. Yeah, there's like a alien invasion or something like that. And the aliens were using gematria as a language. And they were saying how one of the characters was, at the beginning, was saying how he doesn't believe in God because of aliens. But then it gets to a point where you realize the aliens are using gematria, which was a kind of a codex used to write a lot of the Bible. Then he was like, hold on, so aliens are using something that was used to write the Bible or old ancient text? And he was like, whoa, it's pretty fascinating. There's a lot of things that unless you're knowledgeable about stuff, they might just completely fly straight over your head, which is fine, you know. Like, when I was first watching the show, I didn't know a lot of this stuff. So it's pretty interesting to watch it again with all the information I have now. What else did I find interesting that can pop up in my head right now? I do have one question. Is that how old in the show is Nyssa Al Ghul? Because she has to be like 20, 19 or something like that. Because there's a flashback when Merlin... Wait, hold on, wait. Never mind. Oliver was a kid then, so she's probably... Okay. Alright, I got something mixed up. For some reason, I thought for a quick second that when Merlin went to join the League of Assassins, that it was near the beginning of the show. But no, it happened a lot long ago than that. That happened because I remember there was during the flashback you can see Kid Tommy and Kid Oliver. So it's like, okay, so never mind. I thought she was like super duper young for some reason. For a split second. See, that's how good I know the show. I did just get done watching it, though. So it's like, alright, I can make the connections pretty fast just by going through the detailed files in my brain. But yeah. They brought in like multiverse type of things. I just watched the latest crossover. For those not familiar, they have like a little superhero universe on the CW where there's Arrow that started it all. Oh, wait, before I get into that, Arrow really did start it all. Arrow was the first, I always say Dexter was the first superhero show, but really it was Arrow that was the first superhero show that was actually pretty good on TV. Then the next year, that's where you see things like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming. That was the first Marvel superhero show that came a year after Arrow started. Which I really like that show too. That show is pretty advanced. Then the next year after that, that's where it really starts blasting off. You see the first season of The Flash. Then I think the year after that, I think you get like Daredevil, which eventually you get things like Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. Then you get things like Legend of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Black Lightning. But yeah, it all started with Arrow. That's basically what I want to get at. So CW kind of has like a superhero universe. They had a crossover called Crisis on Infinite Earths. There was this thing, this entity called the Monitor, who goes from Earth to Earth to try to test the people there to see if they can take the oncoming crisis that's going to happen. Where what's going to be? I know a little bit about the DC comics, not a lot, just because I watched like Justice League United and other movies and video games. That there's this thing called the Anti-Monitor, who's coming to like destroy each, I guess, universe. So it's going to be this thing called Crisis on Infinite Universes, where you're going to see multiple versions of the characters in different timelines, being like let's say there might be a universe where the person who taught the Green Arrow how to shoot the bow didn't die. Maybe his daughter still ends up dying. Spoilers. Maybe his daughter didn't die, and like they're with Oliver, the Green Arrow, on his vigilante journey through the seasons. So you can be like in a random episode of season 4 and have Shadow there, and maybe Felicity's not there. Or maybe there's a timeline where Laurel has her sonic scream because she just happened to be in Central City when the particle accelerator went off. It's a lot of different variations of what they're going to do with that, which I'm going to find pretty interesting, like multiverse, Crisis on Infinite Earths. The whole Flash show, in a way, has been leading up to Crisis on Infinite Earths from like the very first episode, without getting into too much detail. They always show it like this this newspaper that the Flash disappears in 2000 and something, but now it's moved up and it's going to be this December or whatever. I mean, like the timeline itself, it's at like 2024 or something, or 29. But in the timeline itself, you can see it shifting through all the timeline manipulation that's gone on in the Flash and the crossovers and things of that nature. That it's actually the timeline moved up to this upcoming crossover, which is Arrow's last season. So I think Arrow's final episode is the episode after the crossover this year. Like they have their crossover episode where it's going to be like Supergirl gets an episode, Flash gets an episode, Arrow gets an episode, and Legends of Tomorrow gets an episode. So I think after they all get their episode, then the next week that the show comes on is Arrow's last episode, which is going to be crazy. It's crazy. This is the show that got me to keep watching TV. In a way, it's a bad thing, but in a way, it's all ending. Because once again, the cycle of shows that I'm watching is all coming to an end. The only show that I'm watching right now that I really give a shit about that's not ending is like The Handmaid's Tale. Everything else is like, this is its last season. Like Arrow, last season. Power, last season. I haven't kept up with How to Get Away with Murder. That's still a pretty good show, and that show is last season. Is this one? I don't really care about that show that much, though. I probably won't finish it. I think this other show I randomly watched, Blind Spot. I think this is his last season. Might be Blacklist last season. So the random shows that I have watched, they all seem to be coming to an end. But after Arrow and Power end, I'm bowing out of TV again, because I'm already like, I watch stuff, but it's just like I'm more reading books now and playing video games if I want to be entertained. yeah. I think I'm gonna name this video "You Have Failed This City." Because I ended up just talking about Arrow the whole time, which is fine, you know. It's interesting to see the effect. Like, no other shows even had like an effect on my life, like by just the alcohol thing and the upside down workouts. I say like maybe the closest might be like X-Files, because it made me think about weird shit, but I can't see how it's affected my everyday life. It's a powerful thing. So yeah, that's my spiel on Arrow. Why it's probably my favorite show ever, even though it's not the best show ever. But if I had to take a show with me to the afterlife, to the next dimension, I think it'd be that one. I think it would. So yeah. Whew. So it's a beautiful day. It might be around that time for you to become someone else.